And my final point here has to do with the emails that I took to the Parliament 6 months ago. It's almost a year now, as you will recall. Certain emails came into the possession of the opposition. We examined the contents, we examined the purported sources, and we looked at the offices fingered in the contents. I was satisfied that the contents were corroborated by developments known to us at the time in the country. And having satisfied myself that the matter required an investigation, I sent it to the President. Took it to the President because there was serious allegations. I want to remind this country that the allegations described in the content of those emails were very serious allegations pointing to criminal conduct, alleged criminal conduct on the part of serious senior public officials in Trinidad and Tobago. And it warranted an investigation. That matter was taken to the office of the President. 6 months after that action of taking it to the President and nothing happened, as leader of the opposition, I took it to the people by way of the floor of the Parliament. It was then in May that I let the public know that the contents of these documents were existing and that an investigation was required. That was since May. At the time, we had certain developments, and I think now it's been May, June, July, August, and another 6 months has passed, and we are nowhere nearer finding out whether anybody is to be held accountable for the contents of those emails or whether they are to be dismissed outright, as we were encouraged to do at the very beginning. Let us see what has happened so far and what has not happened. What has happened so far is that the officers whose names or whose actions were identified and the allegations directed at took the position that they will cooperate fully with any and all agencies to ensure a speedy understanding of what we were dealing with, and that cooperation was given on the Parliament floor by the Prime Minister and her colleagues. A commitment to cooperate fully with any and all, and if my memory serves me right, it was with the FBI, the CIA, the WHO, anybody. In other words, they will put no impediment in the way of the investigation. The next thing we knew that happened was that I, who took the matter to the Parliament, I was accused of being the author. I was accused of fabricating the documents, and that became the government's position. We also had resistance to the Integrity Commission having an interest in the matter. The Prime Minister and the Attorney General spent a lot of time using their senior counsel silks to tell the country that there was no role here for the Integrity Commission and that the police was the only agency that had the authority to and had the ability to investigate this matter. What also happened then is that it was said by me that I had no confidence that the management of the police service had the will and the wherewithal to investigate this matter. These are all facts, we can look back on them now. What also happened was that the government, the Prime Minister and the Attorney General obtained the services of serious criminal lawyers, and the matter then became a matter of legal interpretations and existence or lack of existence of protocols, and the commitment to cooperate that was given to the Parliament evaporated. And we are now dealing with toing and froings of legal interpretations. We also had the office holders against whom the allegations were made taking the position that their offices were too important to be investigated because they, in their offices, come across matters of national security and the instruments have on them matters of national security and therefore could not be made available to the police for any checks and so on. This is a fact. We also had the Prime Minister, through her legal team, bringing in dubious experts to examine the equipment and to determine and to make pronouncements that the email addresses were false or unacceptable. And we also had the Commissioner of Police making a statement that he had determined that the emails were fake. We also had the media which reported the Commissioner of Police's statement, pointing out, after the Commissioner of Police said he never said that, we had the Express pointing out the verbatim of the Commissioner of Police, where it was pointed out without contradiction, in text, that that was a position which came from the Commissioner of Police. And that was the last we heard of the police and this investigation. And then we've heard from the Integrity Commission that it had got legal advice, that it had the authority to investigate this matter, and that it was in fact initiating an investigation into this matter. All of this is what we know has happened in the face of these very serious allegations. It is now 1 year that this matter, this very serious matter, is before this country. There are people in office against whom these allegations are made, and they're going along merrily because the country is demonstrating an inability to investigate and to come to a conclusion as to whether there are actions here which require further actions. What I do know is that the contents of the emails have been investigated by the police. Because the police, in its investigation, has talked to a lot of people about the contents. And it would be interesting for the population to know what corroborative information has come to surface to date with respect to the contents as against the addresses, because the government has spent all its time talking about the addresses on the guise that if the addresses are in fact wrong, and the addresses may or may not be, because whoever provided us with the information didn't point us to the addresses, they point us to contents. And from day one we have been saying to the government, and the police has in fact been investigating the content, and we need to know now, if not sooner, whether the content of those emails have found any corroboration anywhere in the investigative process. Because we maintain that if any part of those emails is shown to be true, then the government of Trinidad and Tobago is to be accused of criminal conduct and should be out of office. We did see in the Guardian, a publication, that there was confirmation of certain developments at the DP office, and we heard nothing about those confirmations from the relevant authorities and the investigators in this matter. So as of today, I raise this matter simply to express my concern that this country's inability to carry out these basic investigations point to a failing of monumental proportions, and those who may be involved in these activities are simply biding time, hoping that the matters go away. And this is the template that the Attorney General is using with this matter of the Range Rovers, hoping that if you make enough noise and you distract enough, that the matters just simply go away. It is unacceptable that we could be spending billions of dollars in national security, and don't have the ability to investigate the conduct of known individuals. These emails pointed to individuals who are known to us. And any proper investigation, talking to the individuals and cross-checking and double-checking could put us in a position to either eliminate the prospect of wrongdoing or to identify wrongdoing. It is totally unacceptable for us as a country to be in a position where we are not able to determine whether allegations against specific individuals can be concluded one way or the other. And this matter is not going to be allowed to be just peter out, be swept under the carpet and left unattended, because that would be item number 2. We have section 34, where the government came to the parliament, the same people took serious actions with significant consequences and did not, and still has not, accounted for its conduct. Confused the matter in a number of ways, resulting in a breakup of the coalition, resignation of ministers, millions of dollars in elections, all of it coming from section 34. In case you all have noticed, the millions we spent in Chaguanas West came from that. The millions we spent in St. Joseph with the going of Volney came from that. The millions we're spending in legal fees are as a result of actions taken by persons in office which damage the public interest. Section 34 has not died, has not gone away, and will not go away. This government will be held accountable and continues to be held accountable. The emails that have not been properly investigated, this government will be and must be held accountable, and the investigating agencies are now in a position to answer questions in a way that should be quite troublesome for all of us in Trinidad and Tobago. Because if we set out with all the commitment from the parliament to have this done, and 6 months later, not a word, as though it never happened, the people of this country should pay attention to the fact that our administration may be in the hands of criminal conduct. We make no apologies for that. Until we get the findings of the emails, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, whether we like it or not, it is quite likely that our business of public administration is in the hands of criminals. And that's why it's important for the matter to be investigated to conclusion, so that we can be satisfied that our affairs are not being adjudicated upon in a criminal way by persons who have questions to answer for criminal conduct. And I leave it there for the moment.